Hey everyone, and welcome back to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're diving deep into something that affects millions worldwide: chronic pain. It's more than just an ache that sticks around. It's a complex condition that can drastically change lives. For a long time, opioids were a common go-to, but we all know the serious downsides. So, the big question scientists are tackling is, how can we manage chronic pain safely and effectively without relying on opioids? Get ready, because we're about to explore the fascinating neurobiology behind chronic pain and the cutting-edge, non-opioid solutions on the horizon. So what exactly chronic pain? Think of acute pain, like when you stub your toe, as your body's alarm system. It's sharp, immediate, and tells you something's wrong. It's protective. But chronic pain? That's when the alarm system goes haywire. The pain sticks around long after the initial injury should have healed. It's like the alarm just won't turn off. This isn't just in your head. It involves real physical changes in your nervous system, both the nerves out in your body, the peripheral nervous system, and your command center, the brain and spinal cord, or central nervous system. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, which basically means your nervous system is rewiring itself, but not in a good way. The journey into chronic pain often starts at the site of an injury or inflammation. This is called peripheral sensitization. Imagine your body releases a cocktail of chemicals, things like prostaglandins, bradykinin, ATP, and something called nerve growth factor, or NGF. These chemicals latch onto specialized pain-detecting nerve cells called nociceptors. What happens next? These nociceptors become supersensitive. Their activation threshold drops, meaning it takes less to make them fire off a pain signal, and they react more strongly when they do. Now, what's making these nociceptors so jumpy? A few key molecular players are involved. First, ion channels. These are like tiny gates on the surface of nerve cells that control their electrical excitability. Specific sodium channels, NaV 1.7, NaV 1.8, and NaV 1.9, are big culprits. Then there are TRP channels, like TRPV1, which is what makes chili peppers feel hot, and TRPA1, sensitive to irritants. Acid-sensing ion channels, or ASICs, also play a role. If these channels go wonky, nociceptors can start firing spontaneously. That's why researchers are working hard on selective blockers for these channels, especially NaV 1.7, hoping to reduce pain without widespread side effects. Second, receptors for those inflammatory chemicals we mentioned. Receptors for NGF, called TRKA, bradykinin, and prostaglandins, actually increase in number in chronic pain states. So blocking these receptors, or the signals they send, is another promising strategy. You might have heard about anti-NGF antibodies showing good results for conditions like osteoarthritis pain. But the story doesn't end in the periphery. If those sensitized nociceptors keep bombarding the central nervous system, especially the spinal cord and brain areas like the thalamus and prefrontal cortex, with pain signals, a more profound change occurs. This is called central sensitization. Think of it as your brain turning up the volume on pain signals. It's an amplification process. This leads to hyperalgesia, where you feel more pain than you should, and allodynia, where even a light touch, something normally not painful at all, can cause pain. It's like your internal pain amplifier is stuck on high. So what's driving this amplification in the brain and spinal cord? One major factor is glutamate receptors, specifically the NMDA receptor. When there's intense or prolonged pain input, these NMDA receptors become more active, letting calcium flood into nerve cells. This triggers a cascade of events that strengthens the connections between pain-signaling neurons. While blocking all NMDA receptors causes too many side effects, scientists are looking for more targeted ways to modulate them. Then there's neuroinflammation and glial cells. For a long time, we thought glial cells, like microglia and astrocytes, were just support staff in the brain. But now we know they're active players in making pain chronic. When activated, these glial cells release a storm of pro-inflammatory substances that ramp up neuronal excitability. So finding ways to calm down these glial cells or block their inflammatory signals is a hot area of research. Our brain also has its own pain control system, descending pathways from the brainstem that can either turn pain signals down, inhibit, or turn them up, facilitate. In chronic pain, the system often gets out of whack, with more facilitation and less inhibition. So new therapies are trying to restore this balance, maybe by boosting those inhibitory pathways using specific receptor modulators. And get this, emerging research shows that chronic pain can even cause long-lasting epigenetic changes. These are modifications to our DNA, like DNA methylation or histone modification, that don't change the genetic code itself, but alter how genes are expressed. These epigenetic tweaks can lock in the chronic pain state. So therapies targeting these epigenetic enzymes are being explored, though it's a complex challenge. Okay, so with all this incredible science, what are the actual new non-opioid treatments looking like? First, selective ion channel modulators. We touched on this. Highly targeted blockers for channels like NaV1.7, TRPV1, and TRPA1 to calm down those overexcited pain nerves with fewer side effects. Second, anti-NGF therapies. These are monoclonal antibodies that soak up that nerve growth factor we talked about. Tanezumab is one example that's shown promise for osteoarthritis and chronic low back pain, though it's had a few development bumps. Third, glial cell modulators. These are compounds aimed at either stopping microglia or astrocytes from getting activated in the first place, or blocking the inflammatory chemicals they release. An antibiotic called minocycline, which has microglial inhibitory effects, has looked good in early studies. Fourth, targeting neurotrophic factors and their receptors beyond NGF, other factors like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, play complex roles. Scientists are looking at ways to modulate BDNF signaling. Fifth, SIGMA1 receptor antagonists. The sigma-1 receptor is an interesting protein inside cells that affects various ion channels and neurotransmitter systems involved in pain. Blocking this receptor has shown pain-relieving effects in preclinical models and is now in clinical trials. Sixth, angiotensin II type 2 receptor antagonists, or AT2R antagonists. This receptor, AT2R, is a relatively new target for neuropathic pain. Blocking it seems to reduce neuroinflammation and has worked well in animal models. And seventh, it's not all about pills and injections. Understanding central sensitization also helps improve non-drug therapies like graded exercise, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and mindfulness. These can actually help retrain your brain's pain processing pathways. How cool is that? Now, while all this sounds incredibly promising, there are still big hurdles. Translating these findings from the lab into safe and effective treatments for people is tough. Chronic pain isn't a one-size-fits-all problem. It varies hugely between individuals and conditions. So a personalized approach is key. What's next? Future research will probably focus on a few key areas. Developing better biomarkers, think biological signs, to help categorize patients and predict who will respond best to which treatment. Exploring combination therapies, using multiple approaches at once to tackle pain from different angles. Further untangling the incredibly complex interactions between the nervous system, immune system, and even the endocrine system in chronic pain. And leveraging new technologies like gene therapy and cell-based therapies for even more targeted and hopefully long-lasting pain relief. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the neurobiology of chronic pain and the exciting non-opioid therapies on the horizon. The science is moving fast, and a deeper understanding of how chronic pain really works is paving the way for a new generation of treatments. While challenges are definitely still there, the research offers real hope for millions suffering from chronic pain, promising safer and more effective ways to manage it. Thanks for tuning into Fun Facts Online. We hope you found this as fascinating as we did. Until next time, stay curious.